The mockery. The sound of luxury engines filled the air like an orchestra of power and pride. Chrome glinted under the summer sun, and cameras flashed as the Global Auto Tech Expo in Atlanta unveiled the newest creations from the world's richest innovators. People came dressed like royalty, men in tailored suits, women in diamonds that caught the light with every movement. And among them, standing out like a lightning bolt in silk and confidence, was Vivian Steele, CEO of Steel Dynamics, one of the most powerful automotive conglomerates in America. Her reputation preceded her, ruthless, brilliant, and unshakably proud. Every headline called her the Iron Lady of Innovation. But in that crowd of power and prestige, a single figure didn't belong. He was young, grease-stained, and humble, the kind of man security might mistake for help. Staff. His name was Malik Carter, 29 years, old, mechanic, engineer, dreamer, a man with calloused hands and quiet eyes that had seen more struggle than success. He wasn't supposed to be. Here, not among billionaires and CEOs, but fate, in its strange humor, had brought him. The breakdown Vivian's latest pride and joy, the Steel Phoenix, was the talk of the expo, a fully electric supercar meant to redefine automotive history. Reporters swarmed it like bees around gold. Vivian took the stage in a silver dress that shimmered like moonlight. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said into the microphone, "the Phoenix represents rebirth, of technology, of possibility, and of human ingenuity." Applause thundered. Cameras clicked. The future looked perfect, until the engine coughed, then sputtered, then died. Dead silence. The lights flickered. The sleek car that was supposed to roar to life before the world just sat there, lifeless. Vivian froze. For the first time, her perfect smile faltered. Her chief engineer ran forward, panic written all over his face. He pressed buttons, checked cables, nothing. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Reporters started murmuring. And that's when someone shouted, "Get a real mechanic!" Laughter followed. Nervous, mocking laughter. Vivian's jaw tightened. She motioned for her team to fix it, but nothing worked. The humiliation grew with every passing second, and then through the noise, a calm, steady voice spoke from the back. "It's not the battery," the man said. "It's the regenerative converter. You've got a surge feedback loop in the secondary coil." Heads turned. Vivian's eyes followed the voice and landed on Malik, standing near the barricade. Hands in his pockets, wearing a faded blue jumpsuit with the name Carter's Auto Shop stitched in red. Security glanced at Vivian for direction. She lifted a brow. "And you are?" "Just a mechanic," Malik said. "But I can fix it," a murmur spread. "A mechanic? In a hall of engineers and millionaires?" Vivian gave a short, cold laugh. "This car was designed by MIT graduates and NASA consultants," she said sharply. "I don't think we need help from someone who fixes oil leaks." The crowd chuckled. Malik didn't move, didn't flinch. He looked right at her and said, "Respectfully, ma'am, your fancy degrees aren't helping you right now." A gasp swept through the audience. Someone actually clapped. Vivian's eyes flashed. "Oh, you think you can do better?" "I know I can," Malik replied evenly. "If you'll let me." Vivian studied him for a moment. He was calm, unshaken, and confident in a way that irritated her. To her, he was just another man with dirty hands trying to challenge authority. A cruel smile touched her lips. "All right, Mr. Mechanic," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let's make it interesting. Fix this engine and I'll marry you," laughter erupted. Cameras flashed. "You heard her?" shouted one of the reporters. "He's got himself a proposal?" Vivian smirked, proud of her own cruelty, but Malik's expression didn't change. He nodded once quietly. "Deal." The laughter stopped. Vivian blinked. "Wait, what?" "You said if I fix it, you'll marry me," Malik repeated. "I don't need your hand, but I'll take your word. Because a promise is a promise, right?" The room went silent except for the clicking of cameras. Vivian's face hardened. "Fine," she said coldly. "Show us your miracle, mechanic." Under the hood, Malik walked toward the car, the crowd parting as though afraid to be near him. Reporters leaned in. engineers whispered. He popped the hood open and looked down. Vivian folded her arms, smirking. Don't touch anything you don't understand, she warned. Ma'am, Malik said, glancing up at her. Everything under this hood talks. You just have to listen. Then he went to work. His hands moved with certainty, calm, precise, surgical. He didn't fumble or hesitate. He disconnected a series of wires, tapped a coil, adjusted a sensor, and reattached a grounding cable that looked slightly scorched. Whoever assembled this didn't calibrate the conversion module, he murmured. Vivian frowned. That's impossible. It was factory verified. Then the factory needs new eyes. He reached for a small wrench, tightened a coupling, and stepped back. Try it now. Her chief engineer looked uncertain. Should I? Vivian waved him forward. The man pressed the ignition. The car came alive, not just starting, but roaring. The engine purred like a living thing, smooth, deep, and perfect. The lights stabilized. The dashboard came online. The crowd erupted. Applause, cheers. Vivian stood frozen. Her jaw clenched, but there was awe in her eyes. How did you built something brilliant, Malik said softly. But brilliance without humility will always break under pressure. For a moment, it looked like she might actually thank him. But pride won. You got lucky, she said quickly. That doesn't prove anything. The crowd began to whisper again, some mocking her, others cheering for him. Vivian turned, gesturing to her PR manager. Shut this down, she hissed. Malik started walking away, but a young reporter rushed up, camera flashing. Sir, how does it feel knowing you just fixed $1 billion prototype in front of the CEO herself? Malik smiled faintly. Feels like justice, he said. Sometimes people like me don't get invited into rooms like this. But engines don't care about status. They only care about truth. The quote went viral within minutes. The aftermath later that night. While the expo lights dimmed and the crowd dispersed, Vivian sat in her private office at the convention center, replaying the incident over and over. She couldn't believe she'd been humiliated by a man who probably earned less in a year than her company spent on coffee. Her assistant, Lena Torres, entered quietly. Ma'am, the clip has over 6 million views already. Vivian's expression tightened. And public sentiment is not great. People are calling Malik a hero. Some are saying you were, condescending. Vivian slammed her glass on the table. Condescending? I gave that man a chance in front of the world. You mocked him, Lena said softly. Vivian turned sharply. What did you just say? You mocked him, Lena repeated. And he still fixed your car. That's not luck, that's genius. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Vivian's voice dropped to ice. Find out who he is, she said. Full background check. I want to know everything, where he works, who he's connected to, what his game is. Lena hesitated. His game? Nobody humiliates me in public and walks away smiling. Nobody. Malik's side Malik drove home that night in his old pickup truck. The city lights flickered across the windshield and his phone buzzed non-stop. Reporters, offers, congratulations. But he ignored them all. He pulled up to a small, dusty garage on the edge of the city. The sign read, Carter's Auto Shop, honest work, fair price. Inside, his younger brother Andre sat tinkering with an old engine block. Bro! Andre shouted. You're all over the internet. You embarrassed that lady in front of the whole planet. Malik chuckled, sitting down beside him. Didn't do it to embarrass her. I did it because she needed to be reminded that skill doesn't wear a suit. Andre grinned. Still, man, that was epic. You're trending on every platform. But Malik's expression grew thoughtful. People love a story, he said. But stories fade. What matters is what comes next. He reached for his laptop, opening a folder labeled Project Atlas. Andre frowned. You're still working on that? Yeah, Malik said. My own electric engine design. More efficient than anything on the market. I just need the right materials, Andre laughed. You mean the money? Malik nodded slowly. Yeah, the money. The invitation the next morning? A black limousine pulled up outside Malik's shop. A man in a suit stepped out and handed him an envelope embossed with Steel Dynamics. Inside, Miss Steele requests your presence for a private consultation regarding technical collaboration. Confidential. Immediate. Andre whistled. Man, she's calling you to the castle. Malik folded the letter. More like the lion's den. He put on his jacket, cleaned the grease from his hands, and left. The meeting Vivian sat in a glass-walled conference room overlooking the city. Malik entered, calm and steady. You wanted to see me? She gestured to the chair across from her. I did, he sat. Silence stretched. You embarrassed me yesterday, she said finally. You embarrassed yourself, Malik replied quietly. Her eyes flashed again, but there was something else now. Curiosity. You're either fearless or stupid. Maybe both, Malik said. She almost smiled. Do you know what I learned about you? She continued, leaning back. You're self-taught. No degree, no investors, just raw skill. You've built custom engines for racing teams and repair shops, all under the radar. Word travels fast, Malik said. Money travels faster, she replied. Which is why I'm offering you a job. He blinked. A job? At Steel Dynamics. Senior mechanical consultant. 6 figures, full benefits. Malik hesitated. Why me? Because the world loves you right now, Vivian said bluntly. And I'd rather have you beside me than against me. He looked at her for a long time, then said quietly, I didn't fix that car for you. I fixed it because it deserved to work. I don't want your pity job. Vivian's jaw clenched. It's not pity. It's strategy. Malik stood. Then find someone who plays your kind of game, Miss Steele. I build engines. I don't sell souls. He walked out, leaving her staring after him, furious, intrigued, and strangely shaken. That night, Vivian's security team reported something strange. The prototype Malik had repaired, her billion-dollar Phoenix, was missing from the storage hangar. A single message was left behind on the console screen. Truth runs cleaner than power. Vivian read it twice. Her hands trembled, not with anger this time, but fear, because deep down, she knew the man she mocked might just be the one person who could bring her entire empire crashing down. The hidden truth beneath the hood Atlanta didn't sleep that night. Every major outlet ran the story of the mechanic who outsmarted the CEO. Headlines screamed, Street genius fixes billion-dollar engine live on stage. Vivian Steele mocked a mechanic. Then he saved her reputation. But by morning, the story had twisted. A new headline appeared. Steel Dynamics reports missing prototype. Mechanic under investigation. The accusation Malik woke up to the sound of pounding on his garage door. 3 knocks, loud, official, unforgiving. He opened it to find 2 men in black suits flashing badges. Mr. Carter? Yeah. Detective Ramos, Atlanta PD. We need to ask you some questions about a missing vehicle. Steel Dynamics Phoenix prototype. Andre stumbled out of bed, rubbing his eyes. Wait, what? Malik frowned. You think I stole a car that's worth more than my entire block? We're not saying you did, Ramos said. We're saying it disappeared the same night you were last seen near it. Malik laughed bitterly. You serious? That car was locked behind steel gates and security drones. You think I just walked in and drove it out? We just need you to come down to the station, Ramos said, voice even. For a statement, Andre stepped forward. You're not arresting him. No, Ramos said. Not yet. The shadow behind Steele, meanwhile. Inside a skyscraper of glass and ambition, Vivian Steele sat in her penthouse office, staring out at the Atlanta skyline. Her assistant, Lena, placed a tablet in front of her. The police are questioning him now, Lena said. Vivian didn't look away from the window. Good. Let's see how honest he stays when the pressure hits. Lena hesitated. Are you sure he's the one? I mean, stealing the car doesn't fit his profile. Vivian turned sharply. You've known him for 48 hours. I've known people like him my whole life, men who think they deserve what they didn't earn. Lena swallowed hard. Respectfully, ma'am, he earned your respect in front of the world. Vivian's jaw tightened. He humiliated me in front of the world. Lena didn't respond. But she noticed something Vivian didn't, a flicker of doubt in the CEO's eyes. The interrogation. The police station smelled of burnt coffee and cynicism. Malik sat in the interrogation room, hands clasped, eyes steady. Detective Ramos dropped a folder on the table. "We've got surveillance footage of you entering the convention grounds late last night." Malik frowned. "That's impossible. I was home by midnight." Ramos flipped the file open. Grainy security stills of a man in a dark hoodie walking near the exhibit hall. "Looks like you," Ramos said. Malik studied it. "That's not me." "You expect me to believe someone else with your build, your gait, your jacket?" "Detective," Malik interrupted, his voice calm but cutting. "You ever notice how every time a black man gets accused of something, the evidence always looks like him?" Ramos paused, discomfort flickering in his eyes. "I'm not here to play politics," he said finally. "Just tell me where you were between midnight and 3. Malik exhaled. "At home. Ask my brother." Ramos nodded. "We already did." "He said you went out for a drive around 12:30. Malik's stomach dropped. "I went for a drive. In my truck. Check traffic cameras." The detective looked at him for a long moment, then gathered the papers. "We'll verify that," he said. "In the meantime, don't leave town." Malik leaned back. "Wouldn't dream of it." A spark of doubt, that evening, Vivian received a private call from one of her board members, Charles Renner, a shark in a silk tie. "Vivian," he said smoothly, "the board's concerned. This missing prototype situation, it's making investors nervous." "We'll recover it," Vivian replied coolly. "And the mechanic?" "Being handled," Renner chuckled. "Handled?" "Vivian, perception is power. Right now, the public sees him as David and you as Goliath. You'd better make sure you don't look like you're throwing stones at a hero." Her grip tightened on the phone. "Are you suggesting I let a criminal walk free because he's popular?" "I'm suggesting you control the story before the story controls you." The line went dead, but his words lingered. The hidden file later that night, Lena sat at her desk long after the others had gone home. Something about the footage didn't sit right with her. She accessed the company's internal security drive and pulled up the raw timestamp data. Her eyes widened. The time logs didn't match. The footage had been modified, compressed, and re-encoded. Someone had doctored it. Her hands trembled as she whispered to herself, "Oh my God, he's being set up." Meanwhile, in the shadows, Malik returned home, exhausted and angry. Andre met him at the door. "You okay, man?" "They're trying to bury me," Malik said, tossing his jacket aside. "Someone stole that car and they want me to take the fall." Andre frowned. "Who'd do that?" Malik leaned over the workbench, staring at his notes for Project Atlas. "Someone who doesn't want me asking questions. That car, it wasn't just broken. There was something wrong inside that engine, something they didn't want the world to see." Andre blinked. "What do you mean?" Malik opened his laptop, pulling up diagnostic logs he'd secretly copied during the repair. "Here," he said. "See that? The converter wasn't just faulty, it was tampered with. Someone sabotaged it from the inside." Andre's mouth dropped. "You're saying Steel Dynamics faked their prototype?" "Or someone wanted it to fail," Malik said. "Publicly. Maybe for insurance, maybe for corporate takeover. But whoever it was, Vivian doesn't know the half of it." He sat back, eyes burning with quiet resolve. "I'm going to find out." The confession. The next morning, Lena showed up at Malik's garage, her eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Andre froze. Miss Steele's assistant?" "Yes," she said quickly. "Is Malik here?" Malik stepped out from the back. "You've got a lot of nerve showing up here after your boss tried to throw me under the bus." "She doesn't know I'm here," Lena said. "I found something. Proof you didn't steal that car." Malik's eyes narrowed. "What proof?" She handed him a USB drive. "Security footage timestamps. Someone edited the video to make it look like you were there after hours." "Who?" "I don't know. But whoever did has access to Steel Dynamics' internal systems. That means it's someone high up." Malik plugged the drive into his laptop, scrolling through the footage. He stopped at one frame, a silhouette entering the hangar. Not him, taller, broader, carrying something metallic. "Pause there," Lena said. "Zoom in." Malik adjusted the image. A faint reflection glimmered on the figure's wrist, a gold Steel Dynamics access band. "That's one of the executives," Lena whispered. "They all wear those bands." Malik leaned back, a grim smile forming. "Looks like we've got ourselves a thief in a tailored suit." The trap over the next 2 days, Malik and Lena worked in secret. She smuggled internal documents out of Steel Dynamics. He analyzed them for patterns and discrepancies. They discovered something huge. The Phoenix project wasn't just an electric engine. It was a prototype for a military-grade hybrid energy core, one that could revolutionize transport or destroy industries overnight, and someone inside Steel Dynamics was trying to sell it. Lena looked pale. "This could ruin the entire company. If this leaks, the government steps in." "Then we leak it," Malik said, "but not yet. First, we prove who's behind it." He tapped a diagram on the screen. They hid an internal tracker in the prototype's converter. "If I can locate the signal, we can find the car." "You can track it?" "I built something better," Malik said, opening a case filled with parts. "A receiver tuned to the same frequency?" Lena smiled despite the tension. "You really are a genius, you know that?" He shrugged. "Just a man who listens when machines talk. The chase 2 nights later, the signal pinged." "It's moving," Malik said, watching the blip glide across the digital map. Heading west, toward the outskirts. They followed it in Malik's pickup, headlights cutting through the Georgia darkness. Miles later, they arrived at an abandoned industrial park. The faint hum of a generator echoed through the night. Lena whispered, "This is it." Malik crept forward, spotting the stolen Phoenix under a tarp. 2 men were loading it into a container truck. One of them stepped into the light, and Malik froze. It was Charles Renner, Steel Dynamics board member. He was on the phone, saying, "Yeah, it's leaving for Dubai tonight. Once it's gone, no one will trace it back to us." Malik's blood ran cold. He turned to Lena. "Get your phone. We need to record this." But before they could move, a guard spotted them. "Hey!" A flashlight beam hit their faces. The next second, alarms blared. Malik grabbed Lena's hand. "Run!" They sprinted toward the truck, bullets shattering glass around them. Malik jumped into the cab, hot-wired the ignition, and slammed the accelerator. The Phoenix roared to life, flames of electricity sparking under its chassis. "You're insane!" Lena shouted, gripping the dashboard. "You said you wanted proof," Malik said, eyes burning. "Well, we're bringing the proof home, the collision course." By the time they reached downtown, police sirens filled the air. Vivian's phone rang at 3 a.m., a call from corporate security. "Ma'am, the Phoenix has been spotted downtown, and—" "Malik Carter's driving it?" Vivian shot out of bed.
"What?"
"He's being pursued by multiple units. The car's broadcasting a foreign transponder signal." Vivian froze. "A foreign signal?" That wasn't Malik, that was Renner. She threw on her coat and grabbed her keys. "Patch me into the police radio," she ordered. "I'm going to end this myself." The confrontation. Moments later, Malik skidded into a deserted parking structure, tires screeching. He leapt out, dragging the data module from the dashboard. Lena gasped. "They're coming! Police, security, everyone!" Malik turned to her. "This chip proves everything. Renner, the sabotage, the theft. But if we get caught with it, they'll spin it on us. Then what do we do?" Before he could answer, headlights flooded the space. Vivian's silver car pulled in, doors slamming. She stepped out, elegant, furious, but shaken. "Malik, drop the device!" He glared. "You think I stole your car?" "I found who did." He tossed her the chip. "Check the data. Your golden boy Renner's been selling your tech overseas." Vivian caught it, staring at him, uncertain whether to believe. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I had the chance to run, and I came back," Malik said quietly. "That's more than your people can say." Vivian hesitated. Then from behind her, sirens echoed louder. Police lights danced across the concrete. "They won't listen to me," she said softly. "They think you're the thief." "Then you'd better start talking fast," Malik replied. Before Vivian could respond, a gunshot cracked through the air. Glass shattered behind her. She turned. Renner stood at the entrance, pistol raised, eyes cold. "You should have stayed out of this, Vivian," Lena screamed. Malik stepped forward. Renner cocked the gun. "The car! The data! It's mine now. Malik squared his shoulders, eyes burning with defiance. You can't kill the truth, Renner. Renner smirked. Maybe not. But I can kill the messenger. The gun fired again. Engines and egos. The gunshot echoed through the parking structure like a thunderclap. Concrete dust rained from the ceiling. Tires squealed in the distance. Vivian stumbled backward, eyes wide, her heart pounding. Malik! He was on the ground, a crimson streak across his shoulder. Lena screamed, dropping beside him. Oh, God, he's hit! Renner stepped forward, gun still raised, his face calm and composed, as if he were discussing a business deal rather than murder. I warned you, Vivian, he said. You should have stayed out of this. You were always too sentimental to lead. Vivian's voice shook with fury. You sabotaged the company, didn't you? I saved it, Renner replied coldly. Do you know how much the military was willing to pay for that energy core? You were wasting billions on ethics. I was building profit. Malik groaned, forcing himself to sit up. His shirt was soaked with blood. You'll never get away with this, he rasped. Renner smirked. You think the truth matters? You're a mechanic, Malik. You'll die a criminal in the eyes of the world. He aimed the gun again, and Vivian moved. A single, sharp motion. She grabbed a metal crowbar from the ground and swung it with every ounce of rage and betrayal in her. The gun flew from Renner's hand, clattering across the concrete. Malik, with his last burst of strength, lunged forward and slammed Renner into a pillar. The sound of sirens filled the air. Police flooded the garage seconds later, guns raised, shouting commands. Hands in the air! Renner smirked and lifted his hands calmly. Officers, thank God you're here. That man, he pointed at Malik, stole company property and attacked us. Malik gasped, half-conscious, blood dripping onto the floor. Vivian stepped forward, trembling. That's not true. Before she could finish, officers moved in, pushing her back. Two grabbed Malik, twisting his arms behind him despite his wound. You have the right to remain silent. Wait, Vivian shouted. He's innocent. But her voice was lost in the chaos. Malik's eyes locked on hers as they dragged him away, full of pain, disbelief, and something deeper. You said you wanted the truth, he whispered. Now you have it. Don't waste it. The fall of the mechanic news broke by sunrise. Mechanic arrested in Steel Dynamics. Prototype theft. Vivian. Steel's shocking scandal inside the Phoenix. Conspiracy. The media painted Malik as a desperate nobody who tried to cash. In on his viral fame, the video of his arrest went viral. Again. The same crowd that had cheered his brilliance now called him a fraud. In his cell, Malik sat in silence, replaying everything. Vivian's smirk at the expo, Renner's threats, the sound of that gunshot. A guard approached. You got a visitor. Malik looked up. Vivian. She stood behind the glass wall, pale, her usual poise stripped away. They picked up the phones on either side of the divider. You shouldn't be here, Malik said quietly. I had to be, Vivian replied. You saved me, and I let them take you. You didn't pull the trigger. No, she said bitterly, but I gave Renner the power to. My arrogance built him. Malik studied her. Her eyes, always sharp and calculating, looked different now. Softer. Human. They found the data chip, she said. The police have it, and it's encrypted. They can't open it. But if they can't read it, they can't clear you. Malik exhaled. Figures. She leaned closer. I'll get you out. I don't care what it costs. Malik looked at her through the glass, half smiling despite his pain. Now you sound like someone worth believing. The boardroom betrayal a week later, Steel Dynamics held an emergency board meeting. Renner sat at the head of the table, his arm in a sling from the parking lot scuffle, but his smile was intact. Vivian's leadership has compromised the company's image, he declared. Our stock is plummeting, investors are fleeing. We need stability. One of the board members, an older woman named Eleanor, raised an eyebrow. And you think you're the stability? Renner's tone stayed calm. Under my supervision, Steel Dynamics will rebrand and expand. The Phoenix engine will be rebuilt, and this time we'll license it to military applications. Full profit, zero PR headaches. Murmurs spread around the table. Some nodded, some hesitated. Then the door opened. Vivian walked in. Every head turned. "You're not supposed to be here," Renner snapped. "I built this company," she said. "You don't get to decide when I leave." She dropped a folder on the table, thick, heavy, deliberate. "What's that?" "Evidence," she said, "including your offshore accounts, fake invoices, and the encrypted chip you thought was useless." Renner's smirk faltered. "That's impossible." "The encryption key was hidden in the engine's diagnostic code," Vivian said. "And there's only one man who could find it. Malik Carter." A ripple of shock went through the room. "He's in jail," Renner said. "Not for long," she replied, "because I just posted his bail." The return. When Malik walked out of the courthouse, the world seemed brighter but heavier. Reporters swarmed, shouting questions, cameras flashing. Vivian stood beside him, not as a CEO shielding her reputation, but as a woman owning her failure. "I owe him more than an apology," she told the press. "I owe him justice." For once, Malik said nothing. He didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than her words. That night, she brought him back to Steel Dynamics. The same building where she had mocked him now buzzed with whispers of his return. "You really posted my bail?" Malik asked as they entered her private lab. "I did," she said. "You were right about the engine." "About everything." She turned on the monitor, displaying the decrypted data Renner had tried to erase. "He was using the Phoenix to launder tech patents through dummy corporations," she explained. "But there's something else here, something incredible." Malik leaned forward. "What? A fragment of your work?" He blinked. "My work?" "Your design. Project Atlas. You showed me the blueprints that day you fixed the engine. Renner must have stolen them from our system after the expo." Malik froze. His entire dream, his private innovation, had been stolen and integrated into the Phoenix prototype. "He used my technology to build his empire," Malik said softly. Vivian nodded. "And now you'll use it to tear it down." Engines and egos. They spent nights in the lab, Malik hunched over circuit boards, Vivian reviewing logs and contracts. The world outside whispered and speculated, but inside that glass-walled room, something unspoken changed between them. Vivian would watch as Malik worked, his focus absolute, his touch gentle yet sure. He'd glance up occasionally and catch her staring. "Something on your mind?" he'd ask. "Just wondering how a man who's been through hell still looks this calm." "Because anger doesn't fix engines," Malik said. "And right now I'm rebuilding more than one." She smiled faintly. "Maybe I am too." For the first time, they spoke like equals, not boss and mechanic, but two souls trying to repair what was broken in themselves. Renner's revenge, but peace never lasts long in the world of power. One night, the lab alarms blared. Malik looked up from his workstation. "What's that?" Vivian's eyes widened. "Security breach." They rushed to the monitors. Surveillance showed Renner's men storming the building, armed, masked, silent. "He's trying to destroy the evidence," Vivian said. "Not if we get it out first," Malik replied. He yanked a hard drive from the server rack and stuffed it into his jacket. The door burst open. Smoke grenades rolled across the floor. "Go!" Malik shouted. They sprinted through the corridors as glass shattered behind them. Lena's voice crackled through the intercom. "Exits blocked. Take the freight elevator. Service tunnel leads outside." They dashed in, slammed the button, and the doors closed just as bullets hit the walls. The elevator dropped fast, too fast. Vivian clung to the rail, breathless. "You sure about this?" Malik grinned through the chaos. "You said you wanted rebirth. Welcome to the ashes. The fire and the truth." They emerged into the underground hangar. The original Phoenix prototype sat there, battered but intact. "We can't," Vivian said. "It's unstable." "It's the only shot we've got," Malik said, already climbing in. "If we can get it to the media center downtown, we can stream the data live." "Once it's public, Renner's done." Vivian hesitated, then climbed in beside him. "You're insane." "Maybe," Malik said, hitting the ignition. "But it runs on truth. The engine roared to life, sparks of electric blue lighting the tunnel. They shot forward as Renner's men flooded in behind them. The chase was chaos, bullets, sirens, screeching tires echoing through steel corridors. Malik pushed the engine to its limit, weaving through barriers. Vivian clutched the dashboard, half terrified, half exhilarated. "You're going to kill us!" "Not before I make history." They burst out of the tunnel onto the open freeway, city lights blazing ahead. Behind them, Renner's black SUVs followed. Vivian glanced back. "We won't make it." "Yes, we will," Malik said. "Because this engine doesn't quit, and neither do I." He hit a switch on the console. The Phoenix's hybrid converter surged, the energy core glowing like lightning. They sped forward, the city reflecting in Vivian's wide eyes. "What did you do?" "I finished it," Malik said. "Atlas, my design, the broadcast downtown Atlanta." The car skidded into the plaza outside Global Tech Media headquarters. Malik jumped out, clutching the hard drive. Cameras swung toward him. Reporters screamed questions. Vivian stepped out beside him, hair wild, face streaked with smoke, but standing tall. She took the microphone from a stunned reporter. "You want a headline?" she said. "Here's your story. My company was corrupted from within. This man uncovered it and risked his life to expose it." Malik handed the hard drive to a technician. "Upload this to every network you've got." The crowd erupted in chaos as live feeds lit up screens across the city. Renner's voice. His documents, his deals, every betrayal laid bare. Renner himself was arrested within the hour. The aftermath days later. Steel Dynamics Board reinstated Vivian as CEO, but this time she declined the title. "The company needs a new kind of leadership," she said. "Someone who builds engines not for power, but for purpose." She turned to Malik. "The floor is yours." He blinked, stunned. "Me?" "You wanted truth to run cleaner than power," Vivian said. "Now you get to build it." But just as the press conference ended, Malik's phone buzzed with an encrypted message. No name, no number. He opened it. "You built something far greater than you realize. The Atlas engine changes everything, and not everyone wants that kind of change." He looked up at Vivian, the crowd still cheering around them. "What's wrong?" she asked. Malik's jaw tightened. "The past isn't done with us yet." The breakdown, before the breakthrough, the morning after the expose. The world was no longer the same. For the first time in years, the name Steel Dynamics didn't dominate headlines for wealth or innovation, but for scandal, corruption, and redemption. Every news anchor, every journalist, every influencer had something to say about the mechanic who defied the system. Malik Carter, from garage grease to global genius. Vivian Steele steps down, CT's moral responsibility. The Phoenix rises, but who holds the flame? In the center of it all, Malik stood silent. He didn't crave the attention. He never did. He just wanted the truth. But truth, as he was beginning to learn, doesn't end stories. It starts wars. The fallout inside. A quiet warehouse on the edge of the city, Malik stared at the prototype core of Project Atlas. It pulsed faintly, blue light tracing along its metallic ribs, as if alive. The engine was more than machinery. It was a statement. Power without pollution. Energy without exploitation. The thing the world wasn't ready for. Andre burst through the doors, waving his phone. "Bro, you're everywhere. You're trending in 12 countries. They're calling you the future of clean tech." Malik smiled weakly. "Yeah? And how many are calling me a fraud?" Andre hesitated. "A few, but forget them. You did what nobody else could." Malik looked back at the engine, the faint hum filling the silence. "Doing what nobody else could is exactly what scares them," he murmured. Vivian's reckoning across town. Vivian Steele sat before a panel of government officials and corporate auditors. Her once flawless poise was replaced by quiet humility. She answered every question with honesty, even when it cut deep. "Miss Steele," one official said, "do you deny authorizing Project Phoenix for civilian demonstration despite internal reports of instability?" "No," she said. I was warned, and I ignored it. Why? She looked down at her clasped hands. Because I wanted to be admired more than I wanted to be right. The room fell silent. For the first time in her career, Vivian Steele had no armor left, only truth. When the hearing adjourned, cameras followed her outside. Microphones swarmed her like flies. Miss Steele, will you rebuild Steel Dynamics? Is it true you're collaborating with Malik Carter? Do you have feelings for him? Vivian paused. The question hung in the air, ridiculous yet disarming. She gave a small, tired smile. If you're asking whether I respect him, yes. If you're asking whether he's changed me, absolutely. And she walked away. The hackers shadow back at the warehouse. Malik's phone buzzed again, that same encrypted number. He frowned, opening the new message. You shouldn't have released Atlas. You have no idea what you're holding. Attached was a schematic, a perfect copy of his design, but in the corner was a logo he didn't recognize. Aurelia Industries. Malik's eyes narrowed. Who the hell is Aurelia? Andre shrugged. Never heard of him. They shouldn't have access to this. Someone stole the plans again. Before he could say more, the warehouse lights flickered. The Atlas engine pulsed faster, brighter. Then it shut down completely. Malik's breath caught. That's not possible. He rushed to the console, typing commands. Access denied. System locked. Someone was in the system. Remote access. Andre, cut the power now. Sparks shot from the wiring. The screens glitched, then went black. For a moment, the only sound was their racing hearts. Then the engine flickered back on. But its glow had changed. Now a deep, ominous red. Vivian's visit that night. Vivian arrived at the warehouse in her car. Not a chauffeured luxury this time, but something simple, unbranded. She stepped out, dressed in jeans and a black coat. The wind carried the faint scent of rain and engine oil. Malik was under the hood. Sleeves rolled up, face smeared with grime and frustration. She watched him silently for a few seconds before speaking. I see you're still allergic to sleep. Malik didn't look up. Sleep's for people whose engines don't try to kill them. She frowned. What happened? He wiped his hands and turned to her, eyes dark with anger. Someone hacked the Atlas core. Locked me out remotely. They have the schematics, too. Who? Aurelia Industries. Ring a bell? Vivian stiffened. Aurelia was one of our defense contractors, Renner's personal contacts. If they have your tech, they're building something. I know, Malik interrupted. A weapon. The word hung between them like poison. Vivian swallowed hard. Then we have to stop them. Malik laughed bitterly. We? You don't owe me anything. You think I'm here out of guilt? She said, stepping closer. I'm here because I believe in what you built. And because if they weaponize it, the whole world pays the price. Malik met her gaze, proud, defiant, and yet somehow tired. You really have changed. You made me, she said softly. Now let me help you. The rebuild over the following weeks, the warehouse became their world. Gone were the suits, the cameras, the pretense. Now there were only sparks, sweat, and sleepless nights. They rebuilt the Atlas engine piece by piece, every wire, every chip, every coded line fortified with security protocols that Malik refused to explain aloud. Andre helped when he could, though he mostly teased them both. Never thought I'd see a CEO holding a wrench, he said one night. Vivian smirked. Never thought I'd take orders from a mechanic. Malik chuckled quietly. Careful, Steele. You're starting to sound human. For the first time, she laughed. A real, unguarded laugh that echoed through the shop. That sound, more than anything, told Malik something had changed. Between sparks and silence late one night, while Andre slept in the office, Malik and Vivian stood before the nearly finished engine. The lights flickered, bathing them in the glow of the humming machine. You know, she said, I used to think power was about control, but watching you work, yeah, it's about understanding, listening, the same way you listen to engines. He smiled faintly. Engines don't lie. People do. Vivian hesitated. And do you think I still lie? Malik looked at her for a long time before answering. Not anymore. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was charged, electric, like the core they'd built together. Vivian's eyes softened. When this is done, what happens to us? We finish the engine, we release it, we change everything, Malik said. And after that, I don't know. Maybe, she said quietly. We start over. He met her gaze. Maybe we do. The attack 3 days before the official re-unveiling of Atlas, the unthinkable happened. They returned to the warehouse one morning to find the place trashed, computers smashed, documents scattered, the engine's main frame ripped apart. Andre stood in the wreckage, shaking his head. They knew exactly what to hit. Malik's jaw tightened. Aurelia. Vivian found a single note pinned to the wall, a black card with silver letters. If you rebuild it again, we'll burn everything you love. AI. Her hands trembled. They're serious. Malik nodded slowly. Then we build it anyway. Malik, they'll kill you. They've already tried, and they failed the storm. Before the dawn, the next 72 hours were a blur of desperation and determination. They worked in secret, moving the project to an underground lab belonging to one of Vivian's old allies, a retired engineer named Dr. Henry Cho, who owed her a favor from decades back. Henry watched Malik tinker with admiration. This young man's got more skill in his hands than most of my entire research division. Vivian smiled faintly. He's got something they don't. Purpose. Malik barely looked up. Purpose doesn't stop bullets, Doc. No, Henry said. But it makes them worth dodging, the breakthrough. The final night arrived. Rain lashed against the roof as thunder rolled over the city. The air inside the lab was heavy with anticipation. Malik adjusted the final coil, sweat dripping down his forehead. All right, he said softly. Moment of truth. Vivian stood beside him, eyes locked on the glowing core. He flipped the main switch. The engine came alive, but not just as a machine. It sang. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, vibrating through their bones. Readings spiked on the monitor. Perfect stability, zero emission, infinite feedback loop. It's working, Vivian whispered. Malik exhaled, almost in disbelief. It's finally working. They looked at each other, both realizing what that meant. The world would change, if they could keep it safe. The betrayal, but before they could celebrate, the power cut out. Darkness. Silence. Then a voice echoed. Through the lab. Cold, mechanical, amplified through the speakers. Congratulations, Mr. Carter. You did it again. Malik froze. Who's there? A figure stepped from the shadows, armed, wearing a black coat with the Aurelia insignia. Vivian's breath caught. Renner! He smiled, very much alive. Reports of my arrest were exaggerated. Malik's fists clenched. You sold us out. You're working with Aurelia now? Not with. For. They bought my silence and your creation. He raised a small detonator. And now they own it forever. Don't, Vivian warned, stepping forward. It's nothing personal, Renner said. Just business. He pressed the button. An explosion ripped through the lab. The shockwave threw Malik across the floor. The engine screamed, an unholy noise of power destabilizing. Vivian reached for him, coughing through smoke. Malik, get out, he shouted. Not without you. The ceiling cracked, sparks raining down like fiery tears. Malik grabbed a nearby fire blanket, threw it over the core, and dragged Vivian toward the exit. The engine pulsed wildly on the verge of collapse. They burst through the side door just as the lab erupted behind them. The ground shook. The night sky lit up blue. Aftermath hours later, emergency crews swarmed the scene. The explosion leveled the building, but somehow they survived, bruised, burned, but alive. As dawn broke, Malik and Vivian sat on the curb, wrapped in blankets. She leaned her head on his shoulder. We lost it, she whispered. Malik opened his hand, revealing a small, intact data drive. "No," he said. "We didn't." She looked up at him, eyes wide. "You backed it up?" "Always do," Malik said with a faint smile. "Engines can be rebuilt, so can people." A black SUV pulled up across the street. Two men stepped out, dark suits, no insignia. One of them called out, "Mr. Carter, Miss Steele, we need to talk." Malik and Vivian exchanged a glance. "Who are you?" Malik asked. The man smiled. "We represent the U.S. Department of Energy, and possibly something bigger." He held out a folder marked Classified, Atlas Initiative. "Your invention just became a matter of national security." Malik's expression hardened. "You mean you want to control it?" "We want to protect it," the agent replied, "before someone else does." The wind rustled through the wreckage behind them. Vivian looked at Malik, at the fire still burning in his eyes despite everything. "What do we do now?" she asked. Malik stood slowly, staring at the rising sun. "We build again," he said quietly. "But this time, we build for everyone." The agent's smile faded. "That's not how it works, Mr. Carter." Malik turned to him, voice steady. "Then I guess it's time to change how it works." The engine of change. The sky over Washington, D.C. was gray with storm clouds. The air carried that strange tension that comes before something historic. 3 weeks had passed since the explosion. The world believed the Atlas engine was destroyed, but hidden beneath a nondescript federal building in a secure underground facility, a new one was being built, not by Steel Dynamics, not by Aurelia Industries, but by the government, and against his will, Malik Carter was at its center. The facility. The white corridors stretched endlessly, sterile and cold. Men in suits and lab coats passed without smiles, only nods and data tablets. Malik sat at a workbench surrounded by tools, wires, and the humming core of the rebuilt Atlas prototype. It should have been his dream, but it felt like a prison. The agent who brought him here, Director Graves, entered the lab with his usual calm smile. "Morning, Mr. Carter. Progress looks good." Malik didn't look up. "It's not progress. It's containment. Containment keeps people safe. Containment keeps people controlled," Malik shot back. Graves set down a folder. "Do you realize what this engine represents? Unlimited clean energy. Free power. That kind of disruption destabilizes global markets. It's not about control, son. It's about order." Malik looked up sharply. "You mean it threatens the people who profit from pollution?" Graves smiled faintly. "Perspective." Malik turned back to the engine. "You can lock me in a lab, Director, but you can't own what I built." Graves's voice hardened. "You'll finish it. Or someone else will. Someone with less conscience." And he walked out, leaving the sound of the humming engine and Malik's quiet fury behind. Vivian's. Returned that night as thunder rumbled above the city. Malik heard a soft tap on the reinforced glass of his lab. He looked up and froze. Vivian Steele stood on the other side, dressed in black, rain dripping from her coat. She mouthed a single word. "Move." The lights flickered. The door clicked. Moments later, she was inside. "How did you—" "Old favors," she said, tossing him a key card. "And a friend in the Department of Defense who still owes me a life." He stared at her, half in disbelief. "You're insane." "You said that last time. Didn't stop me then either." He couldn't help the small smile tugging at his lips. "Why are you here?" "Because they don't want to share your invention with the world," she said. "They want to weaponize it. Again. And I'm not watching that happen." Malik turned toward the Atlas core, its glow reflecting in his eyes. "They've already integrated new parameters into the engine code on self-replicating security locks. I can't extract it without triggering a failsafe." Vivian stepped closer. "Then we take the whole thing." He blinked. "You want to Steal the Atlas engine from a federal black site? You once fixed a car in front of 1,000 people who laughed at you, she said. You're not scared of impossible. Malik exhaled. You're going to get us both killed. Vivian smiled faintly. Then let's die changing something. The escape. The plan was simple and suicidal. Vivian would distract the facility, guards using her old corporate clearance codes, while Malik initiated a false power surge in the lab. During the confusion, they'd smuggle the Atlas core out through the maintenance tunnel beneath the East Wing. But plans are easy on paper. Chaos never follows scripts. As Malik initiated the power sequence, alarms blared instantly. Red lights flashed. Over the intercom, Graves' voice boomed, "Lock down the facility! Carter's trying to escape!" Vivian shouted over the sirens, "Forget stealth! Grab the core!" Malik disconnected the glowing engine from its restraints, sparks flying. Together, they pushed it onto a mobile cart, rolling it down the corridor as armed guards stormed through doors behind them. "Stop!" Bullets tore through the air. Malik ducked, shoving the cart toward the service tunnel entrance. Vivian slammed her hand on the keypad. Access denied. "Override code!" she shouted. "I told you they changed the protocols!" A bullet hit the wall inches from her face. Malik grabbed a wrench, pried open the panel, and jammed 2 live wires together. The door blew open in a shower of sparks. They disappeared into the tunnel just as the lockdown gate slammed shut behind them. The road to freedom hours later, they emerged from a drainage canal outside the city, drenched and breathless. The night was cold and quiet. Vivian stared at the core, faintly glowing under the tarp. "We actually did it." Malik nodded. "Yeah, but now what?" "We finish it," she said. "Our way. Vivian, the entire country's looking for us." "Good," she said fiercely. "Maybe they'll finally start looking at the truth." The hidden workshop. They found refuge in an old airplane hangar in rural Virginia, abandoned, surrounded by forest. Andre joined them a day later, bringing supplies, news, and the same reckless grin as always. "You two break into a government facility, steal their prototype, and still manage to trend on social media. Legends," Malik groaned. "They think we're terrorists, Andre." "Terrorists don't build hope," Andre said. "They destroy it." Vivian watched them quietly, then said, "We need to go public again." "Not with the company. Not with the media. With the people." Malik frowned. "You mean open source it?" "Exactly," she said. "Release the Atlas blueprint online. No corporation, no government, no single owner. Make it free." Malik stared at her. "That's suicide." "No," she said softly. "That's freedom." He hesitated. "Once it's out there, anyone can use it, good or bad." "Then trust that more people will use it for good," Vivian said. "You taught me that engines don't lie, only people do. So maybe it's time to trust people." He looked at her, really looked, and saw something he hadn't before. Faith. "Not in systems, in him," he nodded. "All right, let's light the fire." The broadcast, 3 nights later, across the world, screens flickered to life with an unauthorized live stream. A dimly lit workshop appeared. Malik stood at the center, the Atlas engine glowing behind him. Vivian stood beside him, her expression calm, resolute. "My name is Malik Carter," he began. "And this," he gestured behind him, "is the Atlas engine. The first energy core capable of powering cities without pollution, without greed, and without limits." Vivian continued. "Corporations tried to hide it. Governments tried to cage it. We're giving it to you, all of you. The plans, the data, the code. Because the future belongs to those who build it together." Malik stepped closer to the camera. "They can arrest me. They can silence us. But they can't stop the idea that power, true power, belongs to the people who dare to dream." He looked into the lens. Calm, fierce, unafraid. "You mocked a mechanic once," he said quietly. "Now watch what he builds." Vivian smiled at him, eyes glistening. Then Malik hit upload. The Atlas blueprints spread across the internet like wildfire. Within hours, every major nation, university, and tech community had access. The world had changed, and there was no turning back. The aftermath. The next morning, federal agents surrounded the hangar. Helicopters circled. Drones hovered. Malik and Vivian stood hand in hand as soldiers advanced. Director Graves stepped out of a black SUV. "You really couldn't help yourself, could you?" Malik smiled faintly. "You wanted order. I gave you evolution. You released classified technology to the world." Vivian stepped forward. "It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone," Graves sighed. "You've just made enemies of every government on the planet." "Then maybe the planet finally has a chance," Malik said. Graves looked at them both, something almost like respect flickering in his eyes. "You're either the world's greatest heroes or its biggest fools." Malik shrugged. "Most heroes start as fools." Graves turned away. "Take them." The soldiers moved in but didn't handcuff them. Instead, they escorted them to a nearby van. "Where are you taking us?" Vivian asked. Graves paused. "To safety for now. You've unleashed something bigger than all of us, and the world's going to need you to guide it." Malik frowned. "Why help us?" Graves gave a thin smile. "Because even governments need mechanics sometimes." The legacy months passed. Around the world, the Atlas blueprints inspired a movement. Open labs in Brazil, Germany, Ghana, and India began building prototypes. Communities once powerless now lit their homes with clean energy. No more monopolies. No more gates. Vivian and Malik kept a low profile, working quietly, guiding engineers remotely under aliases. One evening, they sat together by the edge of a quiet lake, the sky painted gold with sunset. Vivian turned to him. "When I met you, I thought I owned the world." "You did," he said softly. "You just hadn't earned it yet," she smiled, eyes shimmering. "And now?" He looked out at the water. "Now the world owns us." They both laughed, quietly, peacefully. Then Vivian grew serious. "Do you ever regret it?" "Giving it away?" Malik thought for a moment. "Regret doesn't build engines," he said. "And this one runs on hope." A year later, a monument was unveiled at the Global Auto Tech Expo, the same stage where their story began. It was simple, a bronze sculpture of two hands, one black, one pale, holding an engine coil between them. At the base, an inscription, "Truth runs cleaner than power," dedicated to Malik Carter and Vivian Steele, whose courage rebuilt more than machines. Cameras flashed. The crowd applauded. Somewhere in the back, hidden among the people, Malik and Vivian watched quietly. She leaned toward him. "You ever miss the spotlight?" He smiled. "Not when the world's finally bright enough without it." She slipped her hand into his. The applause swelled. For the first time, there was no mockery, no injustice, no arrogance, only light and the hum of progress. Because sometimes, the smallest spark of a single mechanic's defiance, a single woman's redemption, can ignite a revolution, and that at last was the engine of change.